Hello again. This demonstration is to show you what to do for PlayStation 3 Yellow Light of Death, or if your video has shown up and you turn on your system and the video goes like streamy lines and it doesn't work or anything like that. That error, and also game freeze error that's not Laserdisc related. This is the Yellow Light of Death fix, and extra fixes you can do to help improve that. If you notice on your board, check out my other tutorials to see how to get your board to this place, but if you noticed that here's the board. Now, when we do this heat, you're going to want to have two things at least. Well, a couple of things actually. First off, you have all your thermal paste down here. You're going to want to take that off first thing. So, use an X-Acto blade. It's flat here. Or you can use a box cutting knife or something. Just use a flat blade. It's good. It's good. Don't cut yourself, but it's very good for scraping off all the thermal paste. And just kind of scrape it up here. Make sure to get all of it. And then also go to your fan and scrape it off your fan. You don't want to have any excess bad thermal paste. Usually the original, the PlayStations have white thermal paste on here and they get around the edges. And again, if they get into places, if they're crusted, use a toothpick, and once you're done, make sure to clean off everything with Q-tip and rubbing alcohol. I don't need to do that because this is all good thermal paste, it's all the same, and still don't do that even if you're putting on new thermal paste, always clean it off. But again, this is my demo. It doesn't work properly, so I don't need to worry about that. Now what I have here is silver thermal paste. It actually comes out in like a nail polish type. It's got like a little brush on it. Great to put on. Now the key with putting on thermal paste is a little dab will do ya. You don't want to glob it on. That's what most people do. It's a bad thing. In fact, you want to have it just nicely, evenly distributed, and make sure that you do not you don't put too little on there. You don't want to see the underside, but you don't want to have it globbed on there. Just a good even amount. For PlayStation 3, it takes longer, and you got to put a lot of it on. Put a lot in a lot of different places. So make sure that you get it all. And once you've done that, now we're going to be moving on to the heating process. The first thing we're going to want to do is this side. Now you notice it's not exactly flat. You take it to a table, the end of the table, and make it flat. Such as this. Now it's flat, now it's sturdy. You want to use a heat gun. Don't use hair dryers, but also if you have a professional CPU heating mechanism, that works too. But use a heat gun. 800 degrees is the minimum that you want. Now, to start off with the board, you're going to want to go evenly across the whole board. Notice that there are usually 4 boxes if you're on a PS3 set. Notice that there are 4 boxes on this side. These are your RAM. For Yellow Light of Death, you actually want to be focusing on the RAM as well as the CPU and GPU. But these are the most important. So, when we go over everything, we're going to go over the board evenly, and once we go over the RAM, we're going to come back and we're going to go in a box circle each of them 15 times. So, 15 times around, you'll see as I do this. Careful not to burn yourself. And make sure this is flat. And go nice and slow. Now that we passed the RAM, we're going to go over 15 times. You don't want to wait to the end to get to the RAM. You want to keep doing it as you're going. So, go in here. Don't stay over by some of the plastic areas too long, you'll melt them. We'll avoid that. If you want to really help increase the likelihood of getting your RAM restored, take some reflow and put it on the contacts on the board where the RAM is, and that should nicely melt into it and give it a nice, good cleaning. You can see some of the after effects on this board. Make sure to pace yourself, don't go too fast. When we've done, be very careful, flip over the board. Again, put it flat, and then start again. Keep going past the CPU and the GPU, we're going to get those very last. For video problems, there are several things you can heat up. This and this. Don't get your fingers too close. But I'll show you that in a second. Don't be afraid if the RAM starts melting on the top. It's just a cover. It's not going to affect it. Also, if you want to improve the GPU, CPU, you can also put reflow inside them on the sides too. Doesn't hurt. All it does is it just cleans off everything. So. Some more RAM down here. You don't have to get that though, that's not important. But then, if you have video problems, come up here and do this one and this one for 25 seconds. 25 rounds, sorry. And then once you're done, you're going to get the CPU and the GPU 40 times each around. can't hear you. Oh, no pizza? Oh, okay. Alright. Alright. Okay, bye. You want to go over the CPU and the GPU 40 times around each. Once you're done, set your heat gun down, have it facing up. It's the best, that way nothing happens to it, and let it cool. Once your board is cooled off, and you placed it back together, which you'll see in a moment, and it's still not working, you've tried this reflow 4 or 5 times, then the best thing to do is you're going to want to take the cover off of the CPU. What you do is you take a flathead screwdriver, and you're going to want to get it in the cracks here, 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 and here. You're going to want to pry it off. Be careful when you're doing this. It's going to take a lot of strength. It might break the board. That's the one thing you have to realize. But once you pop it off, you want to scrape off all the thermal paste on here and all the thermal paste on here and replace it. Making sure to put it evenly on there. And then put it back down here, push down. And if you want to secure it, use hot glue gun. Hot glue gun. Get in each of these 4 corners and secure it down. And then you can try putting your PlayStation back together that way. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It depends upon how severe your yellow light is. Now, severity of yellow lights goes as follows. Minor is it just as yellow lighting, it's turning on yellow lighting. When you have more of a problem, it's turning on and kind of making some little noises or kind of loud, and then it turns off. When you know it's a serious error, a fatal error that's causing, or your fan's dying, is if the fan progressively gets louder and louder and louder and louder and louder. That's what this system does. If you reach that point, there is a chance that it is unrecoverable, because what is happening is the heat is not properly distributing because there's something that is totally disconnected on the board, that the heat is not, that they're not being able to sense the temperature, and so the fan just keeps getting faster and faster and faster and faster and faster, and it overheats because the heat is not being distributed right. So, careful for those. Now, in order to test your system once you have it like this, you're going to want to put it back together only a certain amount of way. You're going to start by putting the fan back on. It goes on over like this. And then you want to put in your battery. And then make sure to plug in your fan. A lot of people forget to do both of those. You'll need both of them in order for that to work. And then if you want to, you can put back in those 2 screws. They're not, you don't have to, like I said. But just for this demonstration, I will. Then flip it over. If it comes off like that, if your fans come off like that, don't fret. Happens a lot. Just put it back in, plug it back in, and then make sure to curve that back up. That's important. Now, once you have that on there, take this piece, and there are little hooks in the back up here. You're going to want to make sure to hook it, line it up. Down here, there is 1 hook there, and there's 1 hook over here, and 1 hook over here. And then you should just I'm sorry, there are 2 hooks. Actually, no, there are 3, I'm sorry. And then make sure it sits down nicely. And then all you need to do is take this part, kind of snap it in the back, make sure each of these clip on. And then check the bottom, make sure each of these are clipped on. Then the system should be secured in. Now we want to put these back on. So, sorry, I'm Butterfingers. These can be tricky to put back on. You want to start by only getting 1 of each side. Just down, you can do that fairly easily. And then you need to push this side down with your thumb. In order to get that secured on there. Same for this side. Now you have that back together. Now you're going to want to take the bottom, line up the back, place it in there, it should set in there just nicely. If you want to. If you think that you got it with the system, you can put in back all the screws. But for most times you don't need to do that. What you're going to do is you put this in and a couple other things. So plug this back in, set it on these 2, there's 2 holes right up here, it should line up. And then this little white plug should go in here. Next, in order for you to test with the controller, you're going to need this. So, put in that down there, snap it in, and just set it on there. Nothing needs to be screwed in. Again, not vital. And if you want to, you can just, make it pretty, you can set that in the back there. And then plug in this. Plug in your Blu-ray drive. There, and then the black down there. Actually, I recommend doing it the opposite way. Put this cable down, yeah. Put the cable down in here first. And then stick that down there. Once you've done that, plug in your drive, plug it in the back, turn it on, and then, Once you've done that, all you need to do now is put in your power module. If you have it, if your board already has this on there, you don't need to worry about that step. But if it doesn't, if it's got this, you need to plug this in, which is in the front here. So just plug that in. The blue part of it faces the Blu-ray drive. It's kind of easy to remember that way. So let this kind of sit on there. And then plug it in, switch it on, and then this one is power, this one is eject, so you press the power button, just kind of lightly tap with your finger, and you'll see from there if it turns on and off. And that's how you take care of your light to death or video problems. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them, and visit my website, www.dustydragonproductions.com/videogamerepairs. Thank you very much.